They have press in here?
Yeah, you know that?
No.
They have pressed cold brew on top.
No way. Man, this thing that comes with the membership.
Yeah, it does. I'm just rolling.
You're locked in.
Yeah, I'm just taking advantage of everybody else's
Is that cream, oat milk?
It's half and half, and I put too much in it, but it's delicious.
That's okay, man. Sometimes we need a little extra half and half in there.
It was
Matt,
a long night.
Thank you for rolling through short notice.
Yeah, of course.
I think I text you at 9:30 at night.
You
can roll in. Where were you taking your son, by the way?
He was doing he plays football for Brophy, and they were doing a kind of a big man camp 7-on-7s at Arizona Christian out in Glendale.
Yeah.
So that was from like 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock. So when you caught us, it was literally like we were scrambling, driving down the avenues to like find something to eat on our way home.
Wow.
So we ended up at this fancy place called Wendy's on our way home, and then
That's the vibe.
and you guys were texting back and forth, and I missed it. And then you finally called me. I'm like, hey, what's up? Sorry, I'm missing all your texts. But,
Well, I appreciate you, man.
But no, of course.
Episode 4 of Coffee Unscripted. So pleasure to have you on here. And
I think I'm going to follow Jeff home if am I correct?
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I got big shoes to fill for sure.
Big shoes to fill. So
literally big shoes.
100%.
Literally big shoes.
Size 12. But so I think you've seen some of the episodes. You kind of get the gist, the vibe of what we're doing. I want to get to know you better. Like, obviously, we've known each other professionally. Working together these last few months has been awesome. But I don't know if everybody knows your story, if they know kind of where you came from, how you got in the business. And so I thought I'd just start like super basic and just find out where you grew up. I understand it's on the East Coast.
Yeah, so I grew up, I was born in a little town called Opelika, which is next to Auburn, Alabama.
Nice.
My dad was an FBI agent. And so that was where his office was. So we moved from there when I was 7 to a little town called Stafford, Virginia, because my dad got a job at the FBI Academy, which is in Quantico, which is the town next door. So he was an instructor at the academy.
Wow.
So I grew up all the way through high school.
Was that kind of tough having an FBI agent as a father? Like in terms of like going out and partying with your friends and stuff? Like is he locking you down? Or?
It's funny. I feel like I just never... I never had the desire to be that kid to sneak out. I'm almost like embarrassed years later. I'm like, no, I just never really lied or
that's a good thing,
snuck out. But no, he's a great guy.
That's
and I learned a lot from him. I would say some of the basics, like some of the principles I learned from him probably helped propel me into this business. But yeah, I went there, grew up there. I said, hey, I want to go back to Auburn for school. Went back to Auburn University, graduated, came back. What now? And then a buddy and I...
What'd you get your degree in?
A very helpful degree, journalism.
Okay.
I wanted to be a sports writer.
Really? Okay.
I did. I worked at the athletic department when I was at Auburn. I worked with the baseball team, did some stuff with the football team.
Nice.
And then I realized how much sports writers made, and I said, I don't think I can do this as a profession.
Yeah.
Obviously I love sports to this day, but it's just a hobby watching it, not trying to make a living writing about it.
Sure.
But I will say it probably did help prepare me in some ways in terms of just writing, communication.
Communication and writing skills are dialed, I will say.
But really, I'd say, it was the jobs before the mortgage industry that really helped me. But a buddy and I, we moved for literally like no reason that sounded like a good idea. We moved to Phoenix, and that was in 1997. So I kind of feel like I'm really a local because I've lived here for more than half my life now.
For sure.
But I still obviously have my East Coast roots, and I still miss the East Coast. We still go back sometimes.
I was just there.
Yeah.
Boston.
You're telling me.
Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, total vibe.
Love it.
Yeah. Although ticks, I'm not used to like the tick situation, and it tripped me out. We're out in the woods, like playing with the kids, doing all this stuff, and I'm like spraying myself with all this bug spray. That is one thing I love about the West Coast.
Yeah,
like,
these are bugs that don't exist. Out here for sure. But the weather.
Yeah.
Amazing, right?
I need to get back to Maine, and you're telling me the Cape is where to go in the summer.
Yeah. Lobster rolls in the Cape.
My son probably had like 10 when we were there.
Really?
I'm like, dude, we got to chill on the lobster. I'm spending $50 a lunch here with you. So
yeah, and the next thing you know, like you're eating breakfast and you're having eggs with lobster.
Yeah,
and like
it's an embarrassment of lobster.
Yeah, I remember going to a restaurant in Cape Cod where it's like they had every menu item, but somehow lobster was involved. Like I think I had a lobster grilled cheese or something. Yeah, like everything's got it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's great you're teaching your son at a young age to eat lobster. So
I'm like, hey man, we better get a decent career if you're gonna be.
Yeah, exactly. So. You need to work hard, kid. That's what I tell my kids all the time. Especially my daughter. My daughter would be like 7 years old, and she would ask the waitress, what do you recommend? You know, she would be eating like risotto or something when she was 10 years old, while my son was like just chicken tenders. But you know, there's always at least one kid in the family like that, right?
100%. Yeah, that's my oldest for sure.
But so I moved to Arizona.
This was 97?
97.
Okay,
I worked for US West, which was the phone company at the time. Inside sales. So I would talk to 100 people a day.
Nice.
I learned how to maybe quickly, efficiently get people on and off the phone and accomplish, you know, green time, I guess, whatever, anything that's going to actually make me money. So I did that.
Good training, would you say?
It was
like,
great training.
Foundational?
Great. It was a great, so I say my two foundations were working for the phone company and, you know, selling call waiting and things like that back in the late 90s. And then eventually cell phones.
Nice.
That was a big thing to sell those PCS cell phones. And then I went and worked for small business. And then from that, I realized I was doing fine. I was actually doing pretty well, but I didn't feel like I was really impacting anything. And it wasn't a fulfilling job. There's no real satisfaction.
Little transactional.
In the work. Extremely transactional.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was really helping anybody.
For sure.
You're talking, especially toward the end, I was dealing with small businesses, and I'm talking to people that really don't care.
Yeah.
You know, they don't care if their company has efficient systems or internet connections, or, you know, I'm talking to people that just, they don't care.
Yeah.
And so I really got burned out. I was looking for the next thing, and I really thought I wanted to work in advertising. So I worked for CBS television, and it wasn't the job I was hoping it would be. But while I was doing that, my wife was working on her master's degree, and through her classes, they would have different people come and speak to them about their job, trying to get people ideas about, hey, what can you do with your master's degree? And one day a loan officer happened to come in there and talk about, hey, this is what this job encapsulates. This is the good, the bad, the ugly. And I remember she came home and she was like, you know, I think this job actually fits you better than it fits me. Like, you should maybe consider this. And I kind of dismissed it because I was trying to make the CBS television gig work. So she became a loan officer right away, worked for a small company in North Scottsdale that went out of business years and years ago. And in 2003, I decided, without a mentor, without any training, didn't know any better, you know, which is maybe a good thing, because if I knew then, I probably never made the jump into trying it out. Yeah. But I went to work for Great Southwest Mortgage.
Nice.
And that was in 2003.
Wow.
So I think I did my first year 2 or 3 times. Yeah. Because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have all these great mentors, you know, which I look at someone like,
right in.
I look at someone like you. I think you have the dream path of a successful loan officer, because early on you touched 1 million files. You learned under some legitimate high-level loan officers that taught you how to build a sustainable business. And I didn't have that. It wasn't until I went to a Todd Duncan Sales Mastery event in Palm Desert by myself. Yeah, it was my wife, her best friend, and I, we went and stayed in Palm Desert for the week. And she's like, you should just go to this conference. So I did, and it was this big aha moment, because I'd never been around people like that before. The guys that I'd worked with at Great Southwest just weren't teaching me anything like that. Todd Duncan, high level, high trust, truly treating this like a profession. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty awesome. Like, you can make a difference. You can truly help people, you know, achieve the dream of home ownership, giving them expert advice, and just really give them something that a lot of people are failing to deliver, right? For sure. So I went to a couple of those, and then from there I came back and I was like, okay, I need to find a new place to work. After I went to the very first.
Did you come out fired up after
I did.
that?
I did. I
that's
think
awesome.
it was a huge thing. And I'm like, okay, I need to align myself with somebody. And one of the top speakers up there happened to be a loan officer from Scottsdale. Nice. And it was very unlike me, but I came home, I picked up the phone, and I called this loan officer. I said, hey, look, you don't know me. I saw you. Sorry.
My guy's
I
banging
should
deals
turn my
right
phone
now.
off. Sorry.
It's all good, dude. It's what we do.
We'll cut that off really quick.
we're actually going to cut that clip and put it in the pod
exactly.
because that embodies our life right there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
I think where I should cut back there too.
So this guy speaks up there, LO, Scottsdale.
So yes, okay. So I went to.
You shot your shot. You ran up there to him and said, "Hey, where do I sign up?"
So I went to a Todd Duncan event in Palm Desert. There was a Scottsdale speaker up there talking about his business, and everything he said just resonated with me. Like, he was a pro's pro. You could tell the guy knew exactly what he was doing. So came back, and I'm like, I should just call this guy. He doesn't know me, but I'm just going to call him. And I just said, hey, my name is Matt Ledoux. Saw you speak. You did a great job up there. And I'm really, honestly looking for some advice. I know I'm not in the right place. I need to find a place to work where I can learn the right way. I've been in the business now for a few years, but I'm just learning about all of these concepts and how I can really level up my business. You know, are there any companies that you would recommend in the area? And I wasn't really trying to necessarily get an interview there with him. But he said, why don't you just come in? Let's talk. He said, I respect the fact that you just picked up the phone, called me, you're asking me these questions. I'd like to meet you. So drove up there, met him, met the branch manager, realized, hey, this is a great fit, right? And that was around 2007, 6, something like that. Yeah, so I learned.
Were you feeling anything getting weird in the mortgage industry at that time, like 07?
Yeah, it was.
Was it getting a little dicey?
It was. You could see there were some things where this doesn't seem like we should be doing these types of loans, right? No, really, it's not. Yeah. You know, a lot of people, of course, want to blame loan officers, but all we were doing were executing the strategies of what all these banks were giving us. Here's the program. You're right. Here's the program. You can do 100% financing and buy a home as an investment property, right? You can have a first mortgage and a second mortgage, 100% interest only, no principal. You don't have to show us your income. More or less, it became, the concept of stated income became, just tell us how much money you make and we'll believe you. That's really what it came down to, right? And we had appraisers that were doing some really shady things, right? Coming in with these crazy values. Here's a great story. There's a loan officer I know that's still in our market today that told me there was a legendary appraiser in the mid-2000s that if you had an issue where you were afraid you weren't going to get the value you needed, like on a refinance or a purchase, you would call this guy and he would always figure out how to bring it in. And they called him Stretchy Stan. They called him Stretchy Stan. So obviously the writing was on the wall. You knew that we were about to have this housing crash.
And so, but you're meeting these guys in Scottsdale right when things are starting to get a little wonky.
So I started to establish my business, you know, to a reasonable degree. And then, of course, the whole thing just crashed. And thankfully...
What did that look like? Was there a moment like where you came to work one day and you're like, uh-oh, something's going on? Like, was there a visual that you saw?
There was a couple things where there was a website called Implodometer.
Oh.
Have you ever heard of that? So there was a website called a mortgage implodometer that a guy started where we started to see companies going out of business and they just started a list. And it started with really just super subprime lenders that we would, broker, correspond deals to, right? So we started with that. And then you started to see, okay, now are some companies starting to come off the board that were not necessarily just non-QM.
Yeah.
And then the biggest moment, the visceral moment I had was sitting in my office on Scottsdale Road and seeing that old company that I had worked for, right? They were on the top floor. We were on the first floor. And I remember sitting at my desk and all of a sudden looking out the window and there's all these people with boxes. They had literally closed the door, locked the door upstairs. They had stopped funding loans. So all these people that were like getting ready to close on a house, whatever, done, gone. And all these people were just instantly out of a job. And thankfully, the company that I worked for, CTX, we were owned by a builder. And I don't know, of course, all the ins and outs of it, but essentially the builder wrote checks to make sure that we remained in business.
Incredible.
But at some point, they said, look, we don't need a retail arm anymore. Like, we're a home builder. We had CTX, we have Syntex, the home builder. And it was kind of like, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Yeah. Like, you guys need to find another place to work. But they didn't fire us. And they gave us, like, I think it was 90 days or something like that.
Wow.
To find a new home.
And this is what, 08?
This was in like around, maybe 10, 2010 maybe.
It's funny. Okay, so we all talk about 08, and I remember my mentor, Jeff, like, he was always telling me, he's like, 08 wasn't that bad of a year. It was 9 and 10 where things got pretty gnarly. Mm-hmm. So this was like 2010.
It got really gnarly. But we just had the perfect timing. And our branch, we didn't move a desk, we didn't move a phone. Wow. We ended up starting prime lending out here.
No way.
Prime lending. So, we had a couple of our top leaders had gone down, flown to Dallas, met with prime lending guys, Plains Capital Bank, and great group of people, great company. Yeah. So we started it. And as a result of our branch starting, there were other CTX people in other parts of the country, like California, West Coast, and they all saw we were going to prime lending, and then they went to prime lending.
Gotcha.
So overnight, this small other mortgage bank in Dallas started getting really big.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how all of that works. And then, of course, what happened after that is we started to we were in our recovery. We had a couple, I guess, booms in terms of, there were the stimulus checks for people to buy homes. We had all the fix and flippers where they were waiving the 90-day rule on FHAs. Yeah. I started working with
talking about waiving that again.
They are. So I started working with some investors.
Yeah.
That were sending me consistent business, and their margins were massive, and they were so happy to have a loan officer that would, answer their phone.
You were still
and
in
get
the
things
game.
done right. Yeah. So I was doing okay, and I feel like a lot of the people that left the business, man, they so regretted it. That left it in like 8 and 9. I remember one of the big things that people were selling when they lost their jobs as loan officers were satellite phones. Satellite phones. Yeah, wow. There were a bunch of people like going, like the guy that I'd worked for, who did way more business than me. And I remember him like leaving too, and I heard he was selling satellite phones. Like, this is crazy. Like, I'm a loan officer. Like, there's got to be an opportunity. There's always a market. And I think that's one thing I've taken just to today. There's always a market. Yeah. It doesn't matter what's going on. There's always a market. And, real estate in the long term is still an incredible investment. It still holds up. There's going to be some bad years. Yeah. But really, that was the worst of it. And if you look at like a chart going back to like end of World War II, and you look at appreciation in our country, what you'll see is that nationally, again, not market specific, but nationally in terms of home appreciation, there's only been a few years where that number has been negative. Yeah. And those are a few of the years. I think it's like maybe 8, 9, 10 or something like that. For sure. But other than that, it was like a minuscule number. It was like 1960 something. It was like minus point whatever percent, 0.9%. But it's crazy that we went through the worst of it. Right? We went through the
what's crazy is I got in 11 clueless.
Yes.
I'm like partying in Scottsdale 9, 10, 11. And it's like, I don't know anything's going on. You know what I mean? I'm at ASU. I'm just living. I have no idea what's going on. And I get in the industry in 11. And I remember I learned this word cavers. Got to do a cavers check, And every question was, I got drilled into me. You got to ask if they had a short sale or a foreclosure or a bankruptcy.
And the answer was yes, usually.
And it was yes, Yes. But it was wild to like think like that was my introduction. And a lot of the guys that I had met, the guys that weren't overexposed, right, that didn't buy 15 rental properties and just kind of over leverage themselves, those guys that made it in, kind of like you, like they used that opportunity when things came down to really build a business. Because at that point, it's like the playing field had kind of been wiped out, right? And it was this opportunity to really kind of establish yourself.
It was excess. It was it was total excess. We had jokes like there was a big Humvee in town because Humvees had just kind of come out like at the top of the market. And I remember there was this like one big Humvee that was wrapped and it said loan taxi on it. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? You know? And I just saw one. Actually, it's funny. I saw the big Tesla SUV. I saw one in Mesa where it was like said VA loans or something. It kind of gave me flashbacks to that because we were in a time of complete excess where we were doing stupid loans. There were people making a lot of money on the backs of people that probably, you know, didn't really understand what type of loans they were getting into.
For sure.
A lot of people were taken advantage of. And yeah, by eradicating a large part of that population, the shady population, you know, the Dodd-Frank Act coming out, I think we naturally started going back to a higher level loan officer than what we'd had for that previous 10 years, right? So then guys like, you know, our president, Jeff, you know, that had been around doing business the right way. It just created an opportunity for all these people that were just trying to build a business in like 2012 and 13. And it's funny you say that because yes, you're right. You would be asking that question. And the answer was generally speaking, yes. And we still actually deal with that today. When we're talking to people, I think the walls kind of go up for a lot of people when you talk about home ownership because even if they did not experience a short sale or a foreclosure, the chances are they grew up in a house that did,
they knew
had family members that did, they knew somebody that did. So, you know, they're going to definitely be gun shy. They need to talk to somebody who is an expert and can say, hey, here's everything you need to understand, right?
That's amazing that you've had that background of like seeing this run up, kind of the blow off top, if you will, 5, 6, 7, then things kind of imploding, right? Implodometer.
Yeah, implodometer. And that list got up to like 100 and something. It was crazy.
Wild, right? And then you're building the business. Talk to me about Caliber, because that's where you and I kind of meet.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because this business is so big.
It is.
But it's also really small, you know? And so I'm at that office in Kierland. I think I start there in 17. So 2017. Okay. When did you get to Caliber and when did that office open?
I was the first person to have an office in that building.
No way.
Because they had been at Kierland. And I'd met this really amazing vice president at Caliber at the Open. And then our mutual friend, Brandon Balkowski had introduced us.
Right on.
And so I went to work for Caliber, and they're just an amazing, amazing company, amazing leadership. And I was April of 2018.
Okay,
so I literally set up my office. It was completely empty, set that up, and obviously that was
killer office. You guys had
we had a great office.
Nice spot.
Not as big as yours, but it was nice.
It was like 30,000. It was insane. It was
insane. And we're talking to your guys over there. I'm like, this place is massive. I had no idea how big it was. But no, it was a great run. And Caliber and PRMI were obviously like very similar.
Yeah.
We literally competitors.
Culture.
Right.
Yeah,
very, very, very similar
Solid
deal.
LOs there.
Yeah, very
really
similar deal. And it was great. You know, and ultimately, I mean, it obviously went downhill and they were acquired by another company.
And I feel like that run of like 17, 18, 19, what kind of a special time in the industry. Like I felt like from a retail perspective, like when I got in the business, like I'm thinking like 11, 12, 13, 14, our competition was Bank of America. Our competition was Chase and Wells Fargo. And these IMBs, independent mortgage banks, like we were kind of like the rebels. You know what I mean? Like we were specialized mortgage companies and we were faster, efficient.
Yeah.
We were picking up our phones on weekends and that's how we were earning business. But the big banks were our competition. By like 17, 18, and 19, it felt like when I was competing, right, with other lenders, the other prequals were saying Fairway. The other prequals were saying VIP. And it was less of the, big banks that we were kind of necessarily competing with. And then obviously we get to COVID, right? And it's like retail just exploded, Talk to me about like that COVID run for you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, back for a second.
Yeah.
2018, 2019 were probably two of my favorite years.
Really?
In the industry. Because I just felt like there was a sense of normalcy. We could just originate loans, and if you had a great system backing you up, which we definitely did during those days, we got loans closed, and it was fairly easy process. Obviously,
rates were good, but they weren't great. So low that you had 20 offers on a home. You felt like buyers and sellers were getting wins.
Yes. And then obviously COVID we're still paying for it today, right? But I mean, that was obviously an incredible run. Anybody that was a loan officer did really well for that period of time.
Yeah.
In hindsight, we all probably wish that we could have worked just maybe a few more hours a week because there was more business to be had that was really humanly possible. It was an incredible run. Unfortunately, I wish they would have, in hindsight, raised rates faster because that really put us behind the eight ball to, when all of a sudden rates started
Do you remember in March? So it was I think it was March of 2020. That's when I was like, all right, zombie apocalypse is starting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm using a Clorox bleach wipe to fill up my gas tank because I think I'm going to get sick if I grab, the gas tank.
Right. We're terrified to go to the grocery store.
I'm at the Fry's signature on Shea. Every shopping cart is gone. It felt kind of like I was watching an episode of Walking Dead or something.
Oh, like they hid the shopping carts?
No, they were just all gone because everybody had mad dash to the grocery store.
Got it.
We're getting all this stuff. And I have this locked pipeline because, I was part of a team, right? And so we have a locked pipeline of probably 35 loans. And I'm just thinking to myself, are any of these going to close? You know what I mean? And then we're at home and I'm watching Barry Habib on my computer.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, by the time we get to June, we're like, oh, this is about to be massive. Was it kind of like that for you too? You're looking at this pipeline, you're kind of like, is this really happening right now? And the credit pulls and the applications are coming in and then everything makes sense. Buy a second home, take cash out, refinance, go from 30 to 15 year. It was nuts.
We would see the craziest market moves that we'll probably ever see in our lifetime, where you would see mortgage-backed securities go up or down 100 basis points in a day, like it was nothing.
I saw 181.
Yeah, I was going to say that makes
ping pong back and
total
forth.
sense. And then they started buying too many mortgage-backed securities, and then they pulled back. I mean, it was total mayhem. But I think I knew early on that, wow, we're about to go on a run here.
Everything you had built in 17, 18, 19, it was like, we're going to run it back, right?
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to refinance every single person that I've done a loan for.
Yeah.
Period. It was a matter of how much time do you have in the day.
I would wake up at 4:30 in the morning, and by 9 a.m. we had 13 applications in that day. It was absolutely nuts. To your point,
believe it.
I'm like, if I could have worked a few more hours, you know what I mean?
I had 2 full-time assistants that only worked with me. It was crazy. I mean, it obviously wasn't a healthy real estate environment.
No, it got wild.
And I look forward to that sense of normalcy again.
At some point, yeah.
My hope is it's going to start to happen this year and next year, because the real estate has proven to be extremely resilient.
Right. I mean, if you would have told me rates hit 8%, I would have thought it's like nuclear Armageddon. Home prices are going down, and the market softened, but it's like we didn't see this implosion, right? We didn't see something.
No.
It's been very resilient. And speaking of resiliency, so you talked about your run with Caliber. I leave PRMI in 2021. When did because I remember Caliber got acquired by was it Mr. Cooper or New Res? Okay, as a servicing company.
And you went to?
I went to Cross Country. That's where I met Jeff.
Cross Country from. Okay,
yes,
got it.
But I actually went to work with Jerry at Cross Country, and then ended up working with Jeff later on because I needed kind of a local branch there. But what happened was it? Did you go to Movement right after Caliber?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So
right before, essentially, almost all the loan officers at Caliber were let go in the summer of 22.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, it was really sad deal.
So what did that look like? Because I didn't
left
know
right
the whole
before
story.
that. I literally left before that to go to Movement, which I was just blown away. Movement is just it's a great company, excellent leadership, and it just seemed like a next step in terms of going to work for another
they got the
retail
culture,
lender. Yeah, for sure.
The mission, right? Everything they do to help in the community, they've got a powerful message.
And they do a lot of incredible things.
Did you know the writing was on the wall at Caliber? Were things starting to get a little
it
weird
was.
there?
You could sense that they didn't really care about retail loan officers. the president of the company. I actually got to meet him in Texas on an event, and I was talking to him about, I think I was talking about mortgage rates or something, and he didn't know who Barry Habib was, and that kind of scared me. I'm like, this guy does not care about loan officers. He just cares about this massive servicing portfolio that had been built,
and that's what
during the pandemic. Yeah, and that turned out to be true. So I could see the writing on the wall
for sure,
and I knew that I was going to have to probably go work somewhere else, which I've just been really lucky, I guess, in my career of making moves at the right time.
Yeah.
I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'll tell you, when it comes to like seeing the writing on the wall or seeing an opportunity, I've just always been really fortunate.
That's awesome.
And same with where you and I are together today.
Well, so I followed you, but kind of just a few months or a few years behind. So I'm at cross country. I go to a company, Finance of America. 3 months later, they shut down. Whoops, Oops. I just went out and told everybody Finance of America is a great company, strong, the 3 legs of the stool, and they shut down. And then I end up finding my way to Movement and had a great experience there. Like, they had the culture, they had the people, they had all those things. But, I'm a little bit of a control freak with my business, and the one thing I can't control is the interest rate. And I'd had a couple buddies of mine had already gone into the wholesale space as a broker. And I was kind of observing from a distance. A lot of my fears was like, can we close on time? Because at the end of the day, like, the rate matters, the deal matters, but if you can't close the deal on time, I'm not going to be able to take my business there, because efficiency and closing is the name of the game. But as I started seeing my buddies close there, and I started like doing more research, I'm at Movement for like probably a year and a half. And I think, you know what, I need to explore this path because it's the right thing for my clients, right? If I can give them the best possible price paired with the service that we do, that feels like a cheat code. That feels unstoppable. So you went to the broker space now, it was like 3 years ago?
Late summer of 23, after working in retail for many years.
So you're at Movement for a few years. You got to experience all the good that I had experienced there. Was it a little nerve-wracking going into the broker space?
Oh, no, for sure. And, for many, many years, you're told repeatedly in your ear, in retail, we have complete control. You're not going to have to worry about your loan not closing, et cetera, which was true when you worked for the good companies that I worked for. We 100% did control and close it on time. And I think there was a period of time that the technology and service levels were not there in the wholesale space. And when I say maybe 5 years ago even, I think so much has improved. The tech stack, AI, all these things where the efficiencies are there, and I look at like what you accomplished, like with the number of loans and what you did this past month, and it's like, okay, is there really a difference now? I don't really think there is. So what are we missing here? Right. If I can deliver a high level of service, same advice, execution, and give people the best possible terms with our, Forwards mortgage marketplace. We have 50 investors, whatever. This is a win-win, right? And also being small, nimble, we're able to kind of run our business however we want to within reason.
For sure.
And then we're just not hamstrung with some of the things like a big company. We're boutique. I mean, we're in every manner.
We have options. And when you have multiple banks competing for your business, because it's your business, right? That creates opportunities for better rates, lower fees. Then there's options when it comes to more unique loan programs. And I think that was the piece that I didn't fully understand. And it's one of those things when you come over from an independent mortgage bank where that's all you know, and you come into this space, I think it's like, I kind of relate it to like the Matrix, right? Like
the red pill,
the red pill, the blue pill.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
And my eyes were open, and I was like, "Wow, this is incredible!" Right? And
you have to be open, to look at it. If otherwise, forget it.
Sure. But the other part of it that's important is when you come into this space, sometimes the challenge is that you can be alone, right? if you don't find the right company and the right culture. And that was the thing when I left my previous team at PureMy, I didn't understand how important the people I was doing the loans with mattered. Like the community, the team, like I totally feed off of that energy, right? And I think the one thing I loved about Forward is like, as a broker, we've got an office, right? We've got loan officer assistants. We've got business development. We've got a culture of people that are doing the business together. And that is almost to me just as important as the platform, right?
Well, and I think one of the biggest components that makes us different from these other companies is our founder, Michael Krill.
For sure.
Because Michael, although he actually was a loan officer in college, he understands the business. He is brilliant in terms of so many ways, but he's an entrepreneur. He's a technology guy. He's constantly working to be ahead, whether it's Google algorithms, SEO, AI, compliance.
He's got our LOS
marketing.
dialed.
He's put us in such a great position where, let's be honest, a lot of us loan officer types, we have a specific skill set, but some really important skill sets in terms of building a business, we don't have.
For sure.
And that's where Michael helps fill in those gaps, which I think makes us
better,
better and just, a force, I think, in this marketplace. And we're just getting started.
When I met Jeff and I knew he was the right guy, like he was a good leader, he helped kind of transform my business with things like lead tracker and, a system, right? I needed a system, and he had given me this platform to really kind of, grow my business. I just knew cross country didn't feel like the end game for me at that time. Great company. They have monster producers there.
Big time.
Really good company. But I was looking for something different. And so I came really to Forward to the table because of Jeff. But when I met Michael, I'm like, this guy's dynamic. And he does everything that I'm not good at doing, right?
That's exactly how I felt.
I was like, this is somebody that I need in my corner so that I can do all these other pieces of the business that are so essential to grow. And I think one of the things that you're doing right now that I'm learning from is AI, right? Like you're diving into that. I know you just went to UWM and did the AI class. What are you doing with AI right now to develop your business? Because I think that is the next piece and iteration to mortgages.
Yes.
And if you're not adopting it now, there's going to be LOs that are thriving because they're implementing it in their business.
100%. I think that we will be ahead, especially ahead of some of the bigger companies out there of what Michael is building right now and giving us the tools to also learn about it. So going to UWM for training was fantastic. We've got Brandon, a great account representative that they're one of our partners and in our marketplace, and they're fantastic. But it just really opened my eyes to the reality of, as a loan officer, AI is not going to replace a loan officer, but lenders that use AI are going to replace lenders that do not use AI. Whether that's helping you drill down your social media strategies, your day-to-day communications, tracking, your leads, your realtor partners. I think there's just so many uses, right, to help elevate just your brand, your digital content, your overall just footprint of authenticity on the internet. I think we're just kind of getting started on that, but I think it will give us efficiencies to even deliver higher levels of service.
It's going to create, so I feel like for me, I've been looking at my business and like, what is my highest and best use, right? And there's a lot of time where I'm doing, I don't want to call it manual labor, but there's certain data input as a loan officer. There's certain processes that we do where I'm like, this takes time away from my highest and best use. If I can implement AI to try and make those processes more efficient, then that's maximizing my time. And one of the things I feel like you hit on that was like incredibly insightful is like the broker space. I feel like the tech has now surpassed a lot of the independent mortgage banks and the retail banks because they keep diving into web-based and, using, systems like Arrive, which are, in my opinion, super easy, right? They're fast, they're efficient. We can drag and dump documents. There's not these slow loan operating systems that I felt killed a lot of time and had a lot of downtime. And as these things continue to evolve and get better, we can do more volume with less people, right?
100%. And, to your point, this was an interesting story that I just heard randomly when I was in Michigan. They just done a big event, and they're trying to introduce some different AI components, including like a person that will call and actually you can interact with on the phone. And I guess the day before this event, they were working furiously with tech on their demos, and we're just talking to the guy, out there at a bar like that night, and he was like, "Yeah, my buddy was like exhausted because apparently he was up like at 3 a.m. at his desk, sitting with Matt Ishbia to make sure, hey, like we have to make sure this is perfect, And I think that the big companies out there, obviously Rocket and UWM are probably ahead in terms of technology than most. But yeah, it's gonna be a game change. It's an arms race, so to speak, in terms of implementing AI, and then you just tack that on to good loan officer, guy that asks good questions, that guy that has good rates. It's like we're creating, I think, the perfect storm of where else can you get all of this? And again, I'm not trying to say there's lots of great companies out there, but I just feel like for me and my business, I just can't imagine finding this somewhere else.
Like we said, you've had a knack for finding the right spot at the right time.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that I remember you coming in to meet with Jeff. I just came to the office and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what are you doing here? Because I didn't realize the connection that you had with Jeff.
Yeah. And I knew you, but I didn't know you. You know what I mean?
Right. I was like, wait, we know each other. Yeah. And then that was so random and just funny because I think that's Jeff as well. Like here's this guy that was, like I said, ASU guy, taking loan applications, working for a couple guys that I know, top loan officers, and just by Jeff showing interest in you, here you are sitting in this office. Now you're a top producer, right? Now we're chasing you. And now you're like, hey, you know what? These are the kind of guys that I want to be around, that I trust.
Sure.
And, Jeff had no skin in the game.
Yeah.
Encouraging you and helping you, really. But, because he's who he is, the right guys tend to come back in the same circle. So it's kind of cool how that whole thing
it's just a total trip. I think when I saw you come in, it was just, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. When little things like that's the universe telling me, hey, you should check this out. You know what I mean? And obviously you've built an awesome reputation in this industry. Started young, right? You're not sneaking out, doing dumb stuff when you're a kid. You got a great family. But being around good people matters. And I think, we look at our May as a branch and unbelievable, right? Like 40 plus million as a company in 1 month. That puts you in the top 1% at any spot, right? Those are massive numbers.
For a small company, yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty impressive.
And the number of people that closed over 2 million, 3 million, 5, I mean, it's like that to me shows a balanced team. You know what I mean? And what's cool is that everybody is learning from one another. You know what I mean? Like you're doing things with AI in your business. I'm doing stuff with my bit. We're all doing things and it's kind of an open book. And that's how we all get better, is when iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. And I think we have a group where everybody wants to truly see everybody do well, which that's just not how it is everywhere.
It's healthy competition, right? Nobody's out there to try and cut people down. But dude, we're coming up on our time. I appreciate you, man. We're going to have you back on. Like, what a dynamic conversation. Love getting to know you.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah. If people want to follow you, where do they find you on social? What's your handle?
My Instagram is at the Ledoux Group. And of course, website, mattledoux.com.
Yeah. Love it, brother. Appreciate you, bro.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. We'll see you next time, all right?
All right.